Tonight, we're going to talk about trends in personal technology as they exist for 2026, as John said. So let's move on. What I want to talk about is, first of all, I want to mention a change in my methodology for researching topics for this particular presentation. Then we're going to go along and talk about AI a bunch, both suggested trends and who the players are in the field. But first, a few words about methodology. In the past, what I used to do was read a lot of different things, and if something struck me, I would copy the URL and the title page or whatever it was, and use the program Cherry Tree, which Dick mentioned many years ago, and put those in there. And then when it came time to put the presentation together, I'd go back through that and assemble the presentation from the ideas and URLs that I had stored there. However, something different happened this year. This year, somebody mentioned to me, oh, I know what it was. It was in the Tech for Seniors podcast that I saw a reference to this thing called Google Notebook LM. And I said, what is that? So I went in, and actually I can show that to you. Let me go, where is it? It's over here. This is Notebook LM, and you can actually create a instance of it on your desktop. However, all of the files and information pertaining to it are actually stored in your Google Drive. And what I did is I created a notebook for personal technology trends, and I went in and I asked it a couple questions. Yep. Hey, Donna, could you mute your microphone, please?
Just a moment.
Okay.
Oh, can't.
My regular checkup. I told him, don't wear this.
Okay. Anyway, I used Google Notebook to do some research for topics for this talk. I started a notebook and I said to this thing, what are the personal technology trends that I should be looking at? And you have the ability to do both a top-level search as well as a deep search. I did a deep search and came up with 22 different sources of information. I then went ahead and also asked it, so who are the AI players in this space? And from these two prompts, I gathered a lot of information, which then allowed me to look at its suggested trends, which are the transition to agentic AI, which I'll talk about, wearable stuff going on, privacy, and what we can do with local AI architectures instead of just having things in the cloud, intelligent home robotics, sustainability, hardware, and clinical grade health and longevity tech, among other things, but these are the ones I'm going to mention. So if we look at this transition to agentic AI, what that really means is in the past couple of years when AI has been out there, it's been more of you ask it a question, it tries to give you answers and things like that. Whereas now, there's two things going on. There is this on-device processing where instead of doing things just in the cloud, we're shifting toward doing local AI processing with models that exist on your endpoint device. You're getting more actionable intelligence here. Systems can plan, execute tasks across disparate platforms in terms of things like booking a trip without you doing anything. Microsoft 365 Copilot, they've got this agent mode that works across their suite of products, allowing AI to give users much more insight into what they're doing, and they even have a think deeper mode. for getting into reasoning. And by the way, reasoning is another watchword that I'm seeing more and more in AI discussions. And of course, our friends at Apple are trying to re-image Siri, and they've pushed off what they're doing, but they're going to be using Gemini's 3 Pro to serve as their reasoning engine. In terms of wearables, what's going on there is you're seeing a lot of smart rings that's now recognized as a category in and of itself, where you've got always available monolithic monitoring where you don't really need a screen. You have rings from Samsung and Aura, and they're pretty dominant in this industry for health and sleep tracking. Something new here is Pebble Index 01. That's a sort of a minimalist shift. They're focusing on the single physical button for voice notes and reminders. So you can go to a meeting and have this Pebble Index take all the notes for the meeting and be done with it. Avila has a gesture and touch controls that manage phone content and slide decks. So you're seeing many different things here. And eyewear is another big one. Samsung and Google have both confirmed they're going to put out more AR glasses this year. And of course, Meta is also in this. One thing I saw recently is an app for Android that can detect if you're in the presence of smart glasses. Now, I saw it mentioned too, it said the developer may also be working on an iOS version of the same thing. And finally, we've got pattern recognition. So you've got rings like Rochi to leverage AI to transcribe work meetings. So this being able to hear spoken words and get it managed by AI is becoming even more prevalent. How about privacy? What's going on there and doing things locally? Well, Apple has this 3B model I talk about that runs things natively on your iPhone and Macs, and they try to ensure that your data never leaves your device. You've got private cloud computing, where if a task happens to exceed the ability of your local, they'll use stateless, cryptologically verified servers to take care of things in that regard. And our friends at Qualcomm, with their Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor silicon, is designed specifically for proactive sensing, agentic workloads, learning user habits, and things like that. In terms of intelligent home, what we see is, I talked in the past about Matter, and more recently we're up to Matter 1.5. So this now includes native support for cameras and energy management and real-time tariff responses. So we're seeing more and more knowledge and AI type capability being built into more and more things, garage doors, gates, things like that. Predictive automation. Here we've got a spatial multi-sensor that uses radar to track human presence and gathering points without video recording, and it triggers routines for lighting or fall detection and things like that. And you've got physical AI and robotics. Boston Dynamics always has been intriguing with their robots, but they now have a Atlas that has human-like gates for industrial collaboration. You've got Roborock's rover that bounces on wheeled legs and climbs and cleans stairs. And LG's even in it with a robot designed to fold your laundry and perform light kitchen tasks. So this AI is being influenced by many tasks that we do every day. How about sustainability and hardware? Well, in that regard, you've got wireless power. And here you have a cordless kitchen standard that has gotten to a point where it's credible, and you can have wireless power for appliances. They've got PowerCast and Etherdyne demonstrating power zones. I also saw a reference recently to, I forget which EV it was, that can be powered by driving over a mat for wireless power. So, and of course, our friends in the EU with their right to repair expect that to become law by the middle of this year, which is going to take the spare parts industry and make sure you have access for things for 7 years. So you can prohibit software-driven parts pairing. Biochemical wearables. And what they're doing here is moving toward non-invasive monitoring of your biomarkers, glucose, lactose, and other things, through things like smart tattoos and microneedle patches that actually sample interstitial fluid. Wow. Having said that about what's going on, let's talk about a little bit about who the players are in this space. And these players fall into different categories. First, you've got foundational platform people, silicon infrastructure players, robotic and AI, physical AI players, wearable and health innovator players, and enterprise service partners. If we look at the foundational platform people, of course, you got Microsoft, which is, I talked about before, with the embedded agent mode across its whole suite, and they've launched Agent 365 as a control center. And they've got models from OpenAI and Anthropic. You've got Apple, who's pivoting to a local first architecture that I mentioned before, with their private cloud computing and their use of Google coming up in their reimagined Siri. We got Google with Apple provides DeepMind AI, so next-gen robotics, and they're also collaborating with Samsung on a lot of things. You got Meta, which is doing their invisible tech with their Ray-Ban smart glasses and their Orion prototype. And they've got some neural input systems going on. And Alibaba, and of course, that Alibaba is serving as Apple's primary LLM partner for the Chinese market. Now, in terms of silicon and infrastructure players, Qualcomm, I mentioned them before with their Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. This is specifically to do agentic tasks with their proactive sensing and personal content processing. NVIDIA, they've in the past, they've done graphics and things like that, but they're shifting over now much, much more to AI. And they're remaining a central player in this for AI deployments and training and development or deployment. MediaTek, now that's a company that's been around for quite a while, and they're actually a key competitor in the edge space. They're designing custom silicon for high efficiency workloads in notebooks and Chromebooks. Once again, we're seeing that shift to doing AI processing at the edge. AMD has cloud and enterprise solutions. Now, in terms of robotics and physical AI, Boston Dynamics, I mentioned them before with their Atlas model. LG, they've got their home robot going on, designed to automate mundane household chores. I love it. Folds my laundry for me, does dishes. Hyundai, not only are they in the EV space, but they're also a leader in field robotics, and they have this platform for traversing uneven terrain. Caterpillar, they have a Cat AI assistant, uses natural language to improve the safety and productivity on job sites. Wearables and health innovators. Samsung, we mentioned them before, smart ring category, and they also upcoming Android glasses. Aura, They're the Ring people, the Ring Space, comprehensive health monitoring. Withings Body Scan 2. Withings has been around for a while too, and now they've got a longevity station that looks at 60 different biomarkers for disease risk assessment. Neurologic, they've got they use AI and selfie videos in their longevity mirror to predict long-term metabolic and heart health trajectories. Wow. Combat Jenny, robotic emotional support puppy. You had support dogs, now you've got a robotic emotional support puppy with Jim Henson's creative workshop. And this is to help people living with dementia and Alzheimer's. And you've got FinStim, a neurotechnology brain implant designed to guide irregular electrical signals back to normal patterns for those with Parkinson's or epilepsy. Wow. Now let's take a look at the enterprise service partners. We've got ServiceNow, Salesforce, and Zendesk who have platforms that integrate directly into these AI ecosystems that we know and love, like Microsoft Copilot Studio. And this allows those agents to perform tasks such as retrieving IT documentation, opening support tickets. AI is everywhere. You've got Freshservice, Dropbox, and Guru that have cloud and knowledge integration that takes this AI agent and specific organizational data. Okay, before I go on with a few more topics, does anybody have any questions, observations, talk points? Anybody there?
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah.
Mike Rowan.
Hey, Mike.
I had a friend recently send me an article about how AI is multiplying so fast, and they're using their own last, not ChatGPT, the other big one, to make the next version.
Okay.
It's like 20 pages, but it's worth reading. I'd be happy to post it somewhere. John would tell me how.
Okay.
Discussion forum. Yeah, send me an
Yeah,
email.
discussion. Yeah, put it in discussions for sure.
Bill,
Okay.
I mean,
Bill?
I was really glad I read it.
yeah, well, I mean, the thing that strikes me is this AI field is moving so fast in so many different directions, it's hard to capture it in a snapshot. You know, it really
Yeah, you're right, because it's helping itself improve faster than we can even imagine, I guess.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Bill,
go ahead, John.
it's Ralph. For
Hey, Ralph.
$5,000, you could buy a robotic snowblower that cleans your driveway, and in the summertime becomes a lawnmower.
There you go. Hey, solution to your problem, John. Go on.
Yeah, this is something which is absolutely so realistic to expect to have it show up before the end of 2026.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you can start the motor on that snowblower, because you probably don't want it to be have an electric cord.
No,
but
it's an electric battery.
yeah, the battery operated stuff should be able to work. And just like having a robot vacuum cleaner, a Roomba, there's no reason why it
thing.
yeah, it's just blowing snow off your driveway as long as it finds the edges of your driveway and doesn't go running over your flower bed.
That's
Yeah.
one of the things it does. It's by AI. It knows where you plot the grounds. Same
Yep.
thing when you use it as a lawnmower. Plots the grounds and knows where to go, where not to go.
Yeah, they do have robotic lawnmowers already. People with big plots of land that need to be cut, definitely.
Yep. And don't forget, this stuff just started to show up so we could all use it just a little over 3 years ago.
Right.
You know?
I mean, NVIDIA is now one of the trillion-dollar companies.
Yes.
And what didn't get mentioned is the amount of power that these things are supposedly having, and the number of people who want to stop the growth of data centers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll run it on my phone.
Yep, yep, yep. That's that moving the LLMs to the edge topic that I mentioned before. Yeah, it's just amazing. It's
Well,
hard.
there's also all sorts of bad stuff that's happening with the AI, right? You guys have heard about the AWS outage recently in December. So they have an internal
Yeah.
coding tool called Cairo, and that coding tool decided that, hey, a service was sort of not written well, and it took it down and rewrote it and posted it back up, and caused an
Okay.
outage for hours.
It's interesting. I went to a presentation within the past month or so about AI, and the bottom line was there: make sure what you're seeing is actually real and not made up, and being able to discern what is real as
Yeah,
one.
you have to review everything. You can't trust
Yes,
the AI. I
yeah.
mean, it's good to get started, but you got to look
Oh yeah,
over everything. Yeah.
it's an enabler. In fact, I ran across recently someone that I used to work with at both Avaya and AT&T who has many discussions about AI, and I'm saying right on, absolutely yes. In terms of, in fact, I talked to her today, and she's going for a certification in AI governance, which is definitely needed going forward. So yeah. Anyway, anything else, folks? I do have a few more topics I want to talk about.
I think that you went through these things, but the specific functionality that's available in these different things and
Yeah.
the possible costs. For example, talking about agentic, are you going to talk more about that?
No, I've said everything I had to say about that.
Well, OpenClaw, which started out as ClaudeBot
Yep,
and then became something else,
yep.
I have found, and I have a couple of articles about the cost and how to reduce your costs of using these things because you have to subscribe to everything.
All right.
And the difference between different AI bots and how you can work with them. I decided to use them to find out what was the best price in my local supermarkets for a particular product on
Oh,
a specific day.
okay.
But it turns out that Claude and Perplexity do not have access to the real world. They
Okay.
can't even connect to a website of a grocery store where the price and inventory are available.
Oh,
But Copilot can.
uh-huh. All right.
Copilot was actually able to go to the stores that I said to look at, and it came
Uh-huh.
back with the current prices for this week.
Okay. All right.
So as you use these different things, some of them have access to stuff, and that's what the agentic thing does.
Right.
It is not itself AI. It's a manager that connects to different bots that can
Okay.
do things, and you give the agentic AI like OpenClaw access and passwords to stuff on your computer. And then
Uh,
it can feed that into chatbot or ChatGPT or Perplexity or something else, which do not have access.
right.
And it
Okay.
flows the data through the agent.
Okay.
And you can have a dashboard for the agent. Now,
All right.
this is here now, but this is already 2026. And
Oh
this
yeah.
is the trend that people will be using these for more and more things, and they will need someone to set them up for them
Mm-hmm.
because most people don't know how to do that.
Right. Right. Okay. Creating a job that didn't exist last week. Yeah. I read an article about delivery vehicles, and a person who used to be a delivery person was now in the job of taking care of these delivery vehicles. So when one job goes away, other jobs are created. It just never ends. Anything else, people? I do have a few more things I want to cover. Okay, not hearing anything. Let me proceed. I do have a couple items from Computer Electronics Show from this year. I'll also talk about bandwidth, one of my favorite topics, and electric vehicles. Let's see what we got. So for CES, a couple things that struck me were these specialized robotics. There's this Birdfly Vista that uses hummingbird-specific AI and 6K slow-motion video to identify and record bird species with cinematic precision for its bird feeder. You gotta love it. Another thing is this guy, creaseless foldables, the Samsung Galaxy Z Trifold, best overall, has a massive 10-inch display that removes the visible creases typical of earlier foldables. Oh, you gotta love it, right? And finally, we have this Lenovo Legion Pro rollable gaming laptop. It has a screen that extends horizontally from 16 to 24 inches, as you can see here in this picture. This is just three of many things that were at CES that are just fascinating. Bandwidth. Let's see here. We have this wired landscape that we've got. I keep seeing higher and higher speeds talked about with fiber to the home. I mean, here in New Jersey, we're seeing ads by, I think it's Spectrum or maybe somebody else, I forget. But anyway, they talk about speeds of 8 gigabits in terms of delivery to the home. And of course, it probably will take a couple of weeks for the endpoints in the home to be able to use all that bandwidth. But still, you gotta love it. And of course, we're seeing more and more customers getting fibers connected to their cable modems. You've got service providers like AT&T who say things like the future is fiber and 5G connectivity for home use. Xfinity touts all kinds of 10 gigabit platform. They dropped that name in a while ago. Google Fiber touts 20 gigabits and their Wi-Fi 7. T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon are providing 5G wireless access home internet. And by the way, folks, last week I was in Morocco. And wouldn't you know it, I saw several billboards advertising 5G home internet, wireless home internet access in Morocco. Go figure. And by the way, in the United States, we sometimes try to disguise our cell towers and make them look like trees. Well, in Morocco, those trees are palm trees. So you have your antennas at the top. At the bottom of the antennas, you see the palm leaves hanging out. And I saw many, many, many of those in Morocco. You gotta love it. The wireless landscape. Satellites. Big industry going forward. Here is a graphic that was generated by Notebook LM regarding shift toward satellite and 5G advanced connectivity. What you're seeing here on the left-hand side is the fact that you've got 12.5 gigabit speeds, you've got Samsung Galaxy S26 that enables satellite voice calls, you've got hardware capabilities. And on the right side, you get a picture of what's going on in the satellite space itself, where you've got satellite platforms coming online and all kinds of connectivity being enabled by satellite. Wi-Fi 8. You remember in the past, I've talked about Wi-Fi 7. Well, what's going on here is that Wi-Fi 7 really talked about getting the speeds to be peaked, whereas Wi-Fi 8 talks about ultra-high reliability. If we look at a comparison of the two, whereas Wi-Fi 7 had it introduced 320 megahertz channels in the 6 gigahertz band, Wi-Fi 8 focuses on something called dynamic subband operation to hop within these wide channels. Wi-Fi 7 implemented 4096 quadrature amplitude modulation to boost the data rate at close range, and Wi-Fi 8 talks about this thing called enhanced long range repetition for distant devices to add that capability. Wi-Fi 7 has multi-link operation over a single access point, whereas Wi-Fi 8 talks about multiple AP coordination, so you can have multiple access points coordinating scheduling and beamforming. 7 focused on minimizing disconnection during roaming, and 8 introduces this thing called seamless mobility to treat multiple APs as one logical entity. Now, in terms of time frame, Wi-Fi 7 had formal standards in 2025, and what we're seeing now is your default refresh where everything that's coming out now has Wi-Fi 7. As far as Wi-Fi 8 is concerned, they had a draft finalized in middle of last year, but we're hoping to see prototypes of Wi-Fi 8 at the Mobile World Congress, which is happening later this month. Actually, maybe happening now over in Spain. And they expect final publication sometime in 2028. So that's what's going on in Wi-Fi space. In the past, I have always talked about 5G coverage, and this was the chart that we used back in February of 2024. As we move forward to February to 2025, they changed their focus and they started spotlighting things more locally. So this is the picture that we had back in 2025. Now, right now, in February of 2026, the way we find out what coverage is available is we have apps for our iOS and Android phones that produce pictures like the one you see here. This happens to be the AT&T coverage in our area now, where it looks like we have lots and lots of 5G coverage, and there's still some spots of LTE here in various places. So this is the way we're going now in terms of what is the coverage. Electric vehicles, another interesting topic. What's going on now is something called range extended EVs. Because what's been, in the past year, we've seen the pure battery EV sales slow down, so that now your automakers are pivoting and saying to themselves, is there something else we can do here to broaden their coverage? And they're going to range extended or extended range EVs to do that. And what that really means is that these EREVs use a battery for the primary propulsion, but include an internal combustion engine that acts strictly as a generator to charge the battery when it runs low. And this effectively extends the range. Now, those of you who were around in 2012 might remember this thing called the Chevy Volt. The Chevy Volt is a series hybrid in that the battery drives the wheels and a small internal combustion engine recharges the battery when needed. And that was, I think I drove one after a BCUG meeting. I think it may have been 2012, but this is the basic idea of what extended range EVs are all about. Any questions about any of this? Commentary? Discussion?
Yeah, I have a car, a Prius Prime that's mostly, well, when you do local driving, it's electric, but when you do regular driving, it's gas. And I've done an Excel chart on it since 2018. And I get about 115 miles a gallon because most of the time I'm on electricity. And some, if I take an extended trip like to my daughter, which is 70 miles each way, then I obviously use battery. So I use gas, but You know,
Yep.
I know Bill Silverman just bought himself a full electric car.
Oh, really? What did he get?
What the hell's it called? What's the most important one?
A pure electric?
Yeah, pure electric.
You mean a Tesla?
A Tesla. Yeah, that's what he bought.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Yeah, what you're talking about, Ralph, is a plug-in hybrid vehicle,
Right.
right? Right. It's interesting to note my youngest son, back in, I think it was December, he bought a Volvo plug-in electric vehicle hybrid. So yeah, and he also keeps a spreadsheet of what he's doing. In fact, he sent me a text at the beginning of this meeting saying that he put gas in it, and I should go check his spreadsheet. So, I mean, if you want, folks, we can go check his spreadsheet. Not a problem. Let's see. Whoops, wait a minute. Let me go back. I'll continue on. Oh yes. So this is the end of my talk where I normally say there's nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in success to take the lead in the introduction of new order of things, said by Machiavelli in 1513, the books of Prince. Nothing endures but change, Heraclitus of Ephesus. The only thing that changes is the rate, and I said that. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Bill.
Hey, you know, I always try to come up with something interesting. You gotta love
And
it.
you do. And you do.
By the way, while we're at it, let me just check my son's spreadsheet if you don't mind. Let's see. Let me move
Bill,
this.
while you're at it,
Yeah,
I think I read somewhere like in Norway they're changing the highways to put things that you can charge that charges the car as you go over it as you're driving.
yeah. That's what I did mention that. Yes. Let's see here. XC90 spreadsheet. Let's see what we got. Yes, he put what 226. That's today. He put gas in it. All right. Let's look at his lifetime stats. Miles per gallon, 76.
I got a lot more than that.
Well, okay. Hey, he's only had the car for,
But does he
Yeah.
use it to work? That's the difference. I don't
yes,
work
he
anymore.
does. Yeah, he
I don't
does.
work anymore, so that's the difference.
Yeah, he uses it for around town and work. He lives in Arlington, Virginia, and works in Arlington, Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can see here he bought it. Oh, he got the car at the end of October. All right,
Yeah, okay.
and his most recent, yeah, let's see here. His most recent one, he got 10 gallons. Total cost miles per gallon. The most recent tank was 126 miles to the gallon,
Yeah, okay.
which means he's done a lot of around town driving.
Right.
Okay. You gotta love this stuff, man. You really do. So yeah. Oh, yes.
Food. An interesting thing is the number of people in the world who don't use a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't keep track of things like this,
Yep.
you probably don't need one. But
Mhm.
I have a spreadsheet that I use every day.
There you go.
I mean, and then I built another one for just because I've been doing it since I had my first car over 50 years ago.
All right.
And I track my gasoline mileage, and I used to use a little flip pad to do it.
Yep.
And I decided, so I built a form on Google Forms
Okay.
that is now a web page that
Yep.
I can access on my smartphone.
Mhm.
So right there, I can enter my mileage, the price, all these things
Yep.
into a form, and it goes into a Google Sheets,
Yep.
which I can review wherever.
Yep.
Now, my wife would never do anything like that.
They gustibus.
And probably half of the people in the club would never do anything like that, if not more than half.
Yeah.
But, you know, we play with these things.
Yes, we do. Yep.
But
Bill, Since I own the car, I paid $1,620 in gas, and
There you
that's since
go.
2018.
You gotta love it, man.
It paid for itself.
Yeah. I only filled up 13 times last year.
Okay.
I just looked at my chart.
There seems to be, in terms of personal technology, my
Yep.
impression is also that people are becoming overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with the rate of change,
Yep.
the intrusion of change.
Yes.
When people have to interact with artificial intelligence as the chatbot for customer service,
Hmm.
they are not always happy.
Agreed.
So, a trend in personal technology is people avoiding it.
Yep.
And as they avoid it, some of those people are avoiding it by losing their jobs to it. You talked about someone getting a different job because their job was replaced, a
Yes.
delivery person.
Yes.
Well, you've got to be quick to do this. I just had a guy who put tile in my kitchen,
Okay.
and I wanted to pay him by credit
Mhm.
card.
All
And
right.
he had a credit card app, not Square, where you swipe the credit card, but
Right.
literally a PayPal app and a thing called Joist, I think it was. And it was the first time he used it on his Android phone
Hmm.
to take my credit card information and then near field, just like putting it up against the near
Yeah.
field
Okay.
device in the store,
Yep.
right? Put my credit
Yep.
card up against his phone and
Boom.
bingo, I paid him.
There
Now
you go.
this is a young fella who does tiling
Hmm.
for a living.
A mere mortal. Yes.
So
And it,
so those people are just adopting because it's the flow.
absolutely. Yep.
But there's a lot of other people, and we talked about the membership in the club and things like that, that are not keeping up,
Hmm.
are used to doing it a certain way and are overwhelmed
Yep.
because, frankly, just life can become more overwhelming,
Oh, yes. Yeah. Agreed.
even if it wasn't for all these changes.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I would ask anybody else, what other things have you noticed in the changes in your personal technology?
Well, I just bought a chess set, and the technology in chess, it plays against bots, and the technology there is like unbelievable. Like even grandmasters nowadays can beat them, but you can play at any level you want. And I have my grandkids playing with it. It gets them off the screens, in my opinion. And it's a physical board. You make a move, and then it tells you the next move. I actually saw images of boards that actually move the pieces themselves.
Oh, okay. Wow.
How many people are still back on Wi-Fi 5?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I don't know what's the difference.
Slower speeds, fewer bands being used.
You don't notice that you don't have a new router, Sergey?
No, I use an older router. There's nothing that I'm missing with Wi-Fi 6 in my experience.
Okay.
How do you tell which version you're on?
Good question. Why don't you ask Copilot? See what it says.
Well,
Why do
if
I need
you're
Copilot when I have
using
you around, Bill?
if you're using your phone, your Android phone will display a different icon for Wi-Fi 6.
Let's
So that's
see.
one way.
I see. I see. Okay, I think I have an Android phone somewhere. Okay, that's a good point. All right.
But
Could you tell,
it's
could you tell
it's
by the screen?
802.11ax is what you're looking for, as opposed to 11n.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I'm
think.
still on 6 too.
Well, you got
I'm on-
you built a new computer, Mike. So you probably put in
Yes,
a new Wi-Fi, or did you use Ethernet?
put everything in.
Okay.
But I did it a year ago now, so I don't remember details.
It may be Wi-Fi 6 if it's a year ago.
Well, my
Yeah, I
desktop
mean,
doesn't use Wi-Fi at all. It's wired.
Yeah, I'm on Ethernet too.
Well, I use Ethernet
I
wherever
don't
I
use
can.
Wi-Fi in the house.
Yeah. Now Zoom says John is on Wi-Fi. Interesting.
There are changes that are happening underneath, and no matter how many people complain, the actual complaints about Windows, maybe I've become deaf to them, but Microsoft does try to keep things compatible.
Yeah.
I had an exactly opposite experience recently, where a person with an older version of Microsoft Word saw completely different formatting because Office 365, which is what the document was created with, uses Aptos fonts, which are not backwards compatible. It uses them by default, and unless you explicitly install the fonts, with older versions of Microsoft Office will pick a substitute font, and the formatting gets warped.
Hmm. Well, why
I had
wouldn't
the same
somebody
problem, Sergi.
why wouldn't
Yep.
somebody install the required font?
Why wouldn't they? Because somebody looking at a Word document doesn't know any better unless they are
This is the
a well-educated user.
This is
And
the
they could be
overwhelming
using
part.
Word 2003, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's
There,
when you come
there
to
are a lot
Excel.
of complaints out there about the Aptos fonts. Apparently, some experts with typefaces deem that it's the Aptos fonts are relatively low quality. But you know, I'm not that level of expert, therefore I don't have an opinion of my own on that. But essentially, what I had to do to diagnose the problem was reported to me as on one computer, the document looks completely different than on another computer. So I ended up printing out the documents from both computers and indeed saw the different appearance on the printout. And then I had to go on one of the computers and try to detect what the problem was. And then once you look at the font in the font properties for the paragraph, it becomes very obvious. There's a actual message that Microsoft Word puts in that dialog that says the font has been substituted. But you have to know how to look for that.
Okay.
And it wasn't too hard to download and install those fonts, but certainly beyond the realm of typical user.
Or the average American. Yes.
Which see more people at once.
There aren't a whole lot of us, about 6.
People are changing things. Like Ralph is one of the people who still uses a real camera, right, Ralph? You're muted,
Ralph, you're
Ralph.
You're
muted.
muted, Ralph.
Ralph, you're muted. Am I muted?
I'm
not.
sorry. Yeah, I had to buy a new camera. This is my second camera. I just bought one.
What camera do you have, Ralph?
A Logitech.
No, I mean a real camera for taking photos.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of cameras.
Okay.
My newest camera is really small and really good. Yeah, I'll show you just a second.
See, the things that they're doing with cameras by building computation and artificial intelligence into them is changing the way the pictures are taken, even in regular lens, single lens reflex cameras.
Yep.
Oh,
That's my camera.
Oh, wow.
And it takes pictures in 4K. Takes great pictures and videos.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ralph did show us that. It's got a gimbal built in, is that
Yeah,
right?
it's a gimbal, yeah. It'll trace me if I wanted to, and that type of stuff. It'll track me, it'll do all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most amazing thing is when I was in Colorado or Utah over the summer, I took it and put it out of a moving van, and the background was perfectly still, and you could see the car moving. It was like unbelievable because of the gimbal.
Fascinating. Hmm. Yep. Who knows what we'll be talking about a year from now?
What's that?
Who knows what we will be talking about a year
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm at
Oh,
the
we'll
cabin.
have an AI presenter.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I wasn't going to do that. In fact, I'm going more in the direction if I can get a live person, and I got
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple of live people in mind who have been using their computers for doing interesting things. People do use the computer and all of its power for interesting things.
Okay.
And it takes some curiosity, and you still have to go out and try to learn something. Like I was just reading about, I wanted to install something on my phone or someplace, and it uses Rust, the Rust programming language.
Mhm.
I'm completely unfamiliar with Rust. I don't know what it looks like, and I'm going to have to learn something about Rust just because it's there and it is taking over a lot of the spaces. But there are some things like there was a question that I read about Fortran. Fortran became standardized in 1977,
Okay.
and
Oh,
the guy was talking about his boss, and he said one of the smartest things the boss said is you never change money code. If you've got a program that works and is making money, don't touch it. The cost to replace or upgrade Fortran programs that are working and producing money for the company would be astronomical. The amount of testing and all this other stuff, even if you handed it to an AI agent and said, here, convert this and test it and do all these things, it would probably mess up all kinds of things because of all the other stuff that connects to it. So
I think Tom and I were having a discussion on Rust the other day, right, Tom?
That's right. And what you were just saying, John, is that's why COBOL still runs the world.
yeah,
But did you
Fortran,
guys hear
there was
the news
plenty of
about
Fortran before 1977. There was Fortran 66 and Fortran 4 before then.
Fortran 4.
I wrote
That's
code
right.
in those languages.
So did I.
But Rust may be the new language. It has very good memory management. So
Yeah.
there's less chance of people getting in there on memory issues.
Yeah.
Seems to
Yeah,
have a
but-
very deep ecosystem associated with it, and that's been why I've avoided Rust so far.
And
I
according
like
to Sujit, it's very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as fast as C++.
Well, I mean,
That's easy.
any compiled language is going to be as fast as any other compiled language as long as it's compiled efficiently.
Well,
And these days, compilers are pretty darn smart.
yeah, but
Yeah,
apparently
I was telling
Rust
I
is
was
one thing you go to for performance. For
I was telling
performance,
Tom the other
reliability.
day that I had a Python application that was doing some pretty intense, like, data processing. It was taking like 2.5 minutes to run. So I asked Copilot, I said, can you create a Rust version of this Python application? But a couple of minutes later, I had a Rust application. I run that. It finished the job in 2.5 seconds, you know.
Instead of 2.5 minutes.
60 times
Well,
faster.
Yeah,
But
it was.
Python is not optimized for computational speed. If you want to do heavy computational stuff, you either
Agreed.
need to
Agreed.
bring in one of the math libraries that implements it in a
Yeah, it was
compiled
probably not the
language,
most efficient Python application in the world. Yeah.
do something else.
Yeah.
Right? Like write it in C or Rust or Fortran or COBOL.
But did you guys see the news about Anthropic's COBOL converter this past week?
No.
No, what was that?
So Claude, Anthropic, the people who make Claude, they introduced a module that can very efficiently do COBOL modernization. It'll take any COBOL application and modernize it into Java or something else. The day they announced it, IBM stock dived 13% that very day.
Now,
That
would
was
you
just
call
last
these
week.
things personal computation when you're talking about programming languages anymore? I mean, personal technology,
Yeah.
it's going to affect us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but we're not going to know that it affects us, like changing from internal combustion engines to electric vehicles. It's
Right.
like I get in the car, I press the button, the car goes.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, it stopped because it ran out of battery.
Right out of energy.
Yeah. I read an article within the last couple of days about disposable user interfaces because they can be generated by AI agents and via vibe coding. And therefore, the article was discussing merits and how that may change our approach to utilizing compute power and data and everything else because APIs or because user interfaces can become so cheap to construct.
Yeah.
Yes,
In fact, go ahead,
Go.
John.
Well, I was just going to say, I was just looking up something and I don't remember what it was about. It was about having something which, Microsoft announced a project that will remove the interface, the API dependence, so that you'd be able to run Linux programs directly on Windows.
Huh.
LVMS. Oh, I wonder whether
So I can use AI to create Linux applications on Windows. Is that what you're saying now?
Well, they've been working on this for a long time, and they haven't released it yet, but they've announced it. Microsoft also announced a new way of archiving data by using lasers to write into ordinary borosilicate glass. And that stuff is supposed to last 10,000 years. Because you're writing you can write at multiple levels in the glass. In a 2 millimeter thick piece of glass, you can record the data for archival purposes. And this is something that, will be better than magnetic recording or any other optical recording, optical discs or anything like that. And they're getting it so that it is going to be cheap enough, and it will use artificial intelligence to correct for errors. So there'll be error correcting codes in it, but it's for long-term archival storage. And they've gotten it up to where on a small size piece of glass, they can store 7 terabytes. Now, this was just announced. These are things which are not on the market yet, but Microsoft has reached the point in the projects that they can tell you about it. They made sufficient progress that it's like This is imminent.
Sounds like fragile data, though. Don't drop it.
So if I give you a mag tape, how long is that going to last?
Right. Yeah.
Don't let it get too hot or too humid.
Yep.
Ah. And they've been able to make glass, like the glass, Gorilla Glass on your phone.
Yeah.
They're doing amazing things with glass.
Yeah.
How is your new computer working, Mike? Mike
Mike?
still there?
I don't see Mike on the.
I'm sorry, I had the mic off.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mike was off.
Yes, it's working very well. I'm very happy.
Windows 11?
No, not yet. I tried it, and then I went back, and I got that extra year of updates for free somehow. I forget now what I did, but
Yeah, that anybody who hasn't gotten that certainly should. It
yeah,
doesn't cost anything. If you're still got a Windows 10 computer and you
yeah.
have a Microsoft account, it's free. You don't have to give up anything.
That's what I did, John.
Let me
Anybody?
ask you this about Windows 10 versus Windows 11. My wife has an old computer and it's still on Windows 10, but my understanding is it's no longer supported. I was able to get one more year on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
that's what we're
Is it-
saying.
Is there a way of moving that to Windows 11?
What, the extra protection, Tom?
Yeah, it's for security. The security is not going to
No,
be
no, I
updated for
don't.
Windows 10.
Oh, the security
Well,
will
I
be
don't
updated.
know, but if you go to 11, John, you're on 11, I assume.
Yeah, I have both. I got a 10 computer behind me and a 11
Okay.
in front of me.
And
But
which do you prefer?
frankly, I don't see any difference with the things that I do. I use Firefox, I use File Explorer, I use Windows, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and they're the same on both computers, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
So I don't see any difference between them. My arrangement of my desktop and everything else is the same. I have Microsoft OneDrive, so I can store a file on the 11 computer and go pick it up on the 10 computer. There's really no difference. I don't understand
Are
what
you still
somebody
getting
who,
security updates with the Windows 10 computer?
yeah, that's what you get when you take that extended for a year.
Yeah, that I have that. Yep.
yeah,
And
that's what I did too. Yeah.
you'll get security updates, but no new features. Now, there are a whole bunch of new features in Windows 11, which I know how to do these things, but I've moved some things like the terminal program and the notepad program. I think I can use both of them on both machines. So, but I don't know any reason why somebody wouldn't go to 11 if their computer supported it. I think, Tom, what you're saying is that your wife's computer is so old that it cannot be upgraded to 11.
That's right. Yeah.
Could I say something? I had my Windows 10 computer, which says it couldn't be updated by PC Warehouse. I think they charged me like $100, but they were able to bypass whatever it said. And so now my Windows 10 laptop is now a Windows 11 laptop. So it can be done, even though they say it can't be done.
Yeah, my understanding, I looked into it a little bit, and they say you can do an install, a conversion, and they hack it somehow.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, I just haven't bothered with that yet. It's my wife's. She doesn't use it for anything except for Outlook.
Oh, she uses Outlook.
I'm doing some experiments with having to upgrade Windows, existing bunch of existing Windows 10 computers to Windows 11, and I'm looking into a couple of facilities, and it would appear that there are definitely well-defined ways to bypass the hardware requirements of Windows 11. I'll put a couple of links in the chat in the next 5 minutes.
Well, the thing about that is that there's no guarantee that future changes internal in Windows 11 won't try to use something that your Windows 10 hardware doesn't support. And then all of a sudden things start breaking on you and you won't know why because you didn't do it. Sergey may know and he'll go, oh, well, can't fix that.
At that point, you get a new computer. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
meanwhile, I'm using Windows 11 until I can't use it anymore.
now, it's reached the point. I mean, I have two Windows 11 computers. I bought the first one, and it does not have as much power as the later one. And the later one, which is an expensive one that I got at Costco, it still is not as powerful. But you'd end up spending $2,000 to get a computer that really had as much power as you could think you need, and you don't need it. I mean, you don't need it.
I mean,
You
in
need
the
it if you do a
last
lot of
6
photography.
months to
yeah.
in the last
Yeah.
6 months to a year, the prices for memory and SSDs and some of the other hardware just went through the roof.
John,
I'm
you
looking.
really need it when you do a lot of photography, like I do, Photoshop and Filmora and other stuff. They take a lot of RAM and stuff like that. You really need a better computer. That's why I
You
got
can put a lot of
Yeah.
RAM in no matter which computer you get. You can get a computer that can hold 64 gigabytes of
Yeah,
RAM.
that's what I have. Yeah.
You can get a lot more than that on there these days.
And I doubt that there's anything that you do that's going to need anywhere near that much.
Well, a couple of times it froze on me because it didn't have enough RAM. I was doing stuff with Filmora and I just had to do it piece by piece instead of all at once.
I think you are exceptional in that regard then.
Well,
Somebody
I
who
use
said,
large files. I mean, if you're dealing with 4K video and you take a half an hour video, that's a lot of memory. And so if you want to transcribe it, you want to export it and stuff like
well,
that.
yeah, but that's not the RAM. That's the video RAM that you want to increase. And that's the thing that my newest computer only has 12 gig of video RAM. And it's not easy to buy you'd have to get something. I don't know. I don't know how to get more video RAM, even if you've got an NVIDIA RTX 5060 or something like that. But, your wife might do just as well with a Chromebook or something like that, Tom, right?
That's what I'm recommending currently for people that want to browse the internet.
Yeah, you're right.
Simply because Windows needs a whole lot more SSD space and memory than a Chromebook does. And so if your activity is primarily or exclusively focused on browsing the web, there is just no reason to put the extra hardware that Windows requires because you're not using those capabilities. A Chromebook will do just as well and at a quarter of the price.
I'll
Well,
look into
to
it.
get a good Chromebook, you're talking about $1,200 too. And we had some discussion about buying a used Chromebook. The reason that those Chromebooks are used are they were what was given back by schools because they could no longer be supported. Schools and companies that use Chromebooks after 4 or 5 years, they no longer can support them, so they get new sets of Chromebooks and put these on the market. So you don't want to buy one of those. Although Andy Kerrigan has gotten one and he's been playing with it and he seems very happy with what he can do with it.
Yep. Chromebooks do fine for browsing the web and doing basic things with about 4 GB of memory. Whereas Windows really, it would, if I were to buy a Windows system, it would be silly to consider anything less than 16 gig today,
Oh,
seems to
yeah.
me. Right? So, and that's a huge jump in price by itself.
Big enough
Same
jump.
same thing goes for SSD space. Windows needs a comparatively very large amount of disk space as compared to a Chromebook. Chromebook will run just fine in 8 GB.
And in fact, you probably can turn your wife's old computer into a Chromebook.
That's true. You can certainly install Chromebook software on any physical PC hardware.
Until recently, when I retired, I considered her machine to be a backup when I had to connect. But since I'm retired now, I don't need that. So indeed, all she really needs is a Chromebook, but she doesn't like changes too much.
Oh,
So that's the biggest issue, I think.
we talked
Yeah.
about that early on. I mean, most
But
people are overwhelmed by the amount of change, the kind of change, even if it's happening in the background.
Mhm.
But once again, a very large majority of people use just the browser, and therefore they're used to the interface that is presented by the browser, and that Chrome browser, the interface is still the same, regardless of which platform you're running it on, whether you're running on Windows, Chromebook, Mac, whatever.
And the web version of Outlook is actually fairly close, my understanding.
Hey, if you migrate her over to that
Yeah.
on her machine,
Now, right.
then she might not even care.
Mhm.
I appreciate very much that you prepared this for us tonight, Bill.
My pleasure.
Stimulated lots of information sharing. We may try Notebook LM as well.